Morning to all respected resource persons, sir, and the learning participants. Today is our second day of this national workshop on governance and development. This is our third technical session of this workshop. In this session, we have Professor Gautam Chakma from Tripura University. Before his presentation, I'd like to request our esteemed participant, Kunjalada Brahma Pathari Madam from LCB College to initiate the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. A very warm welcome to Professor Gautam Chakma, all the way from Tripura University, and all my fellow participants. I, on behalf of the workshop committee and all the participants, would like to extend a heartiest thanks to Professor Chakma to be there to chair the third technical session for this day. Before we begin with, I would like to give a brief account about Sir. Professor Gautam Chakma teaches political science in Tripura Central University. He obtained his PhD degree in political science from the Northeastern Hill University, Shillong. He is also credited with being one of the credited with doing a certificate program in development law and social justice that was offered by the International Institute of Social Studies, the ISS, from The Hague, Netherlands. His research areas basically include inter alia, migration studies, politics in Northeast India, and political theory. He has, to his credit, several PhD scholars who have been working on various problems and issues of Northeast India and international relations. Professor Gautam Chakma, the floor is all yours. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Kunjalata. Just a second. Let me first, say good morning to everybody. Let me first thank also the organizers of this workshop and inviting me to offer a lecture in this program. Thank you very much for all this. And also, it's quite some time that I didn't participate in this kind of workshop, and it's good for me. Due to COVID, I could not really engage myself in academic activities for quite some time. And this is one program that is actually after COVID, most of us in the university also, most of the departments, they were not doing, academic programs this way. So this is one credit to our university also, that we are cooperating, we are just engaging with this kind of discussions with other universities. So my topic, as I said, I'll be just speaking about the tribal women, and I will take a broader framework, which is gender, and how gender is related to two other concepts, governance and development. And so before I begin, I would like to reflect a moment on the profound impact gender, governance, and development have on the lives of individuals and communities. Inequalities and disparities persist, hindering progress, impeding the realization of inclusive societies. It is in this framework that I would like to explain the situation of tribal women in Tripura. Now, tribal women, as all of you know, Tripura is a tribal state, and there are about 19 different tribal groups. And that means, we have 19 different tribal women there. So if you consider, the total population of the tribal, as which stands at this moment as about 5 lakhs. And if you divide it into 2, at least half. So therefore we have around 7 lakhs tribal women there. And of course, for long, after the independence, we have seen two states, princely states, one Tripura and also, Manipur. So, these two states were given choices to join Indian Union or not. So they joined, finally they joined on 15th October 1949, after 7 years of independence. Therefore, we see that given this historical background, we also see that Tripura is a multi-ethnic society. We have also non-tribal population, a huge number of non-tribal population, and we'll see that the interaction between different cultures. In fact, it's a place where we have a mixed sort of culture, and then or we can say that cultures met in Tripura. So we see that these challenges, for example, say the empowerment of tribal women. It's a big question that for long we have been talking, and in fact this is the first time that I'm just making an intervention on gender, because a few days back we had a seminar in economics department in my university on gender and then workplace. What happens between women there, for example, what happens to them in the workplace. So it was a good discussion, and we had experts from outside, and we had a lot of discussion on tribal women also. This has driven me to share something. Did you say anything? Hello?
No, sir, you can continue, sir.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like to request Tansing to unmute.
Yeah, I didn't get you, Vidipan. Tell me again.
You can continue, sir.
Okay. Let me raise the volume also.
I request Tansing, sir, to switch off your mic.
Yeah?
No, sir, you can continue. I request one participant
Okay.
to switch off his mic.
So Tripura, communities in Tripura have a rich cultural heritage and distinct socio-economic dynamics. Present us a unique land. Hello, is there anything you are asking me?
Participants are please requested to mute their mics and all. Please mute your speakers. Sir, please continue.
Yeah. So these three, paradoxes: gender, governance, and development. I mean, these three concepts are in interplay, and then we'll explore how socio-economic norms, political presentation, access to resources and opportunities shape the lives of tribal women, and how these factors either facilitate or impede their progress. Throughout this lecture, we'll highlight key aspects such as socio-cultural context, political presentation, economic empowerment, healthcare, education, and land and property rights. By examining these critical dimensions, we aim to gain a comprehensive understanding of the challenges faced by tribal women in Tripura, while also identifying potential pathways for change and empowerment. Furthermore, we will critically analyze the existing interventions and initiatives, also narratives, examining their effectiveness and identifying areas where further attention and actions are needed. It is a crucial moment that we move beyond mere rhetoric and delve into practical solutions that can pave the way for sustainable development and gender equality. I'd like to encourage all of you to actively participate, engage in thoughtful discussions, and share your insights and experiences through this lecture. By amassing your experience and knowledge, we can collectively contribute to the discourse on gender, governance, and development, and work towards creating an inclusive society where the rights and aspirations of tribal women are upheld. Now, to set the stage, let's first delve into the socio-cultural context that shapes the lives of tribal women in Tripura. Tribal communities in the region have their unique traditions, customs, and social structures that influence the status and roles of women within their communities. These norms, often rooted in patriarchy, can limit women's autonomy, decision-making power, and access to resources. Understanding the socio-cultural dynamics is crucial for comprehending the challenges faced by tribal women in their pursuit of development and empowerment. Moving forward, let us explore the role of governance in promoting gender equality and empowering tribal women. Political representation is a significant aspect of governance that impacts the lives of marginalized communities. In Tripura, efforts have been made to enhance the political participation of tribal women through reserved seats in the Legislative Assembly. We also have a district council system in Tripura, in which we have seen that a lot of tribal women they come forward to participate. However, it is essential to critically assess the effectiveness of these initiatives and evaluate the extent to which they enable meaningful engagement and decision-making power for tribal women. Economic empowerment is another crucial factor that plays a pivotal role in the development of tribal women. Limited access to education, healthcare, productive assets, and skill development programs hinders their ability to break free from the cycle of poverty. It is imperative to discuss strategies that go beyond traditional sectors such as agriculture and handicrafts, explore avenues for creating sustainable economic opportunities that can uplift the status of tribal women. The health and well-being of tribal women are integral to their overall development. Access to quality healthcare services remains a challenge in many tribal areas, resulting in high maternal mortality rates and child mortality rates, and inadequate healthcare facilities. We should examine the existing healthcare infrastructure and explore innovative approaches to address the specific health challenges faced by tribal women. Taking into account geographical remoteness, cultural beliefs, and the need for cultural sensitive interventions. Now, education is a powerful tool for empowerment, and its role in promoting gender equality cannot be overstated. While efforts have been made to enhance educational opportunities for tribal girls in Tripura, we need to critically analyze the effectiveness of these initiatives. And inadequate infrastructure must be addressed to ensure that tribal women have equal access to equality education, enabling them to actively participate in society and pursue their aspirations. Lastly, we cannot overlook the importance of land and property rights for women's empowerment and economic independence. While some tribal communities in Tripura recognize women's land rights, changing land use patterns and legal complexities can undermine these rights. This is crucial to discuss the implementation and enforcement of laws and policies that protect women's land and property rights, ensuring their economic empowerment and reducing vulnerability I encourage each of you to share your insights, experiences, and suggestions. Let us engage in a thoughtful and constructive dialogue, aiming to identify actionable strategies and recommendations that can contribute to the empowerment and development of tribal women in Tripura. Together, we can make a meaningful impact and foster positive change. So let's begin our discussion on gender governance and development in the context of tribal women in Tripura. Shall we actually explore the paradoxes, the three paradoxes I said, and their relationship to each other in the interval? First, gender. Gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviors, activities, and expectations that society considers appropriate for men and women. It goes beyond biological differences between sexes and encompasses the cultural, social, and economic dimensions of being male or female. Gender influences power dynamics, access to resources, decision-making processes, and opportunities available to individuals. Second, governance. Governance refers to the processes and structures through which societies are managed and decisions are made. It encompasses both formal institutions and informal practices that shape power relationships and allocate resources. Effective governance ensures transparency, accountability, rule of law, and citizens' participation in decision-making. It is crucial for promoting development and addressing social changes. Third, development. Development refers to the process of improving people's well-being, enhancing their capabilities, and creating conditions for sustainable progress. It encompasses economic growth, social advancement, and fulfillment of basic human needs. Development is multidimensional and includes aspects such as poverty reduction, education, healthcare, infrastructure, and environmental sustainability. The interplay between gender governance and development is significant. Here are some key connections. Gender equality and women's empowerment. Hello?
Dr. Madhumita Das, please switch off your mic. Dr. Madhumita Das, please. Okay, sir. Sorry for interruption. Please continue, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Madhumita Das, please. Dr. Madhumita Das, please switch off your mic.
Okay. Now let us see the key connections between gender governance and development. Gender equality and women's empowerment. Gender equality is a fundamental human right and a driver for development. Countries that promote gender equality tend to experience higher levels of social and economic progress. Empowering women and girls, ensuring their equal access to education, healthcare, economic opportunities, and decision-making processes is essential for inclusive and sustainable development. 2, inclusive governance. Effective governance requires participation of all segments of society, including women, in decision-making processes. Women's representation in political institutions and leadership position is crucial for addressing gender-specific concerns and ensuring inclusive policies and programs. Inclusive governance strengthens democracy, enhances policy effectiveness, and contributes to more equitable development and outcomes. Third, gender-respective policies. Integrating a gender perspective into governance and government policies is essential. Gender-responsive policies recognize and address the distinct needs, challenges, and opportunities faced by women and men. They aim to reduce gender disparities, promote women's empowerment, and create an enabling environment for gender equality. Examples include promoting access to equality, quality education for girls, addressing gender-based violence, and ensuring women's economic participation and entrepreneurship. For gender-based violence and discrimination, gender-based violence and discriminations are significant barriers to development. They hinder women's full participation in society, limit their opportunities, and perpetuate inequalities. Effective governance includes laws, institutions, and mechanisms to prevent and respond to gender-based violence, promote gender justice, and eliminate discriminatory practices. Data and evidence. Gender disaggregated data is crucial for understanding the specific needs, challenges, and progress of women and men. It helps policymakers design evidence-based interventions, monitor progresses, and evaluate the impact of policies on gender equality and development. Strengthening data collection system and research on gender-related issues is vital for informed decision-making. Efforts to promote gender equality, inclusive governance, and sustainable development are mutually reinforcing. They require the engagement of governments, civil society, international organizations, and individuals to create enabling environment that upholds human rights, promotes social justice, and ensures equal opportunities for all genders. To overcome the challenges and barriers, various strategies and measures have been adopted by different sectors, such as tribal livelihood and governance. The promotion of sustainable livelihoods for tribal women through community-based natural resource management, biodiversity conservation, skill development, micro-enterprise development, etc. Gender mainstreaming, the integration of gender equality perspective across all government action, including policies, programs, budgets, institutions, and monitoring systems. Gender quotas, the reservation of a certain percentage of number of seats or positions for tribal women in elected or appointed bodies such as panchayats, village councils, gram sabhas, village assemblies, forest rights communities, etc. Gender responsive budgeting, the analysis of the gendered impacts of public revenues and expenditures and the allocation of resources to address gender gaps and promote gender equality. Women's empowerment, the enhancement of tribal women's agency, autonomy, and capabilities to make choices and influence decisions that affect their lives. Women's movements, the collective action and mobilization of tribal women and their allies to advocate for tribal women's rights and interests, challenge gender inequalities and hold governments and actors accountable. These are some of the texts I prepared, and there are certain things that we should know. Many of us know that we are actually looking for sustainable development for tribal women in Tripura, and many of us actually don't know what is sustainable development. And sustainable development has been defined by international organizations, particularly United Nations. It is defined as an organizing principles that aims to meet human development goals, while also enabling natural systems to provide necessary natural resources and ecosystem services to humans. The desired result is a society. Desired result is a society where living conditions and resources meet human needs without undermining the planetary integrity and stability of the natural system. So that means they have also actually given a diagram in which 6 capacities for sustainable development are required. Number 1, capacity to measure progress. This is one in a quality of sustainable development. Second is capacity to govern in a cooperatively. Third, capacity to link knowledge with action. Fourth, capacity to transform development pathways. Fifth, capacity to adapt to shocks, and capacity to promote equity. Now, given this, I mean, whatever, discussions I have presented here, in fact, being a tribal state, Tripura, of course, we have undergone various, administrations, various governments, political power, has been occupied by various, ideological groups. And more importantly, when we talk about the Hill District Council in Tripura, we have seen this time that this has been sweepingly, taken over by one tribal political party called, Tipramotha. And this shows that, tribal people are not, I mean, as as docile as normally we think about. But then we've seen that active participation from women's section, and we also see that, they have one tribal women, agency, which is part of the political party. And that is also one evidence that, how tribal people themselves, they're trying to empower their women's section and come to decision-making, processes. And as I said already, that Tripura has 20 reserved seats in the assembly. 20 reserved, 50%, out of 60 seats, we have 10 seats for the scheduled caste and 20 seats for scheduled tribes. This is also a kind of, opportunity for tribal women to come up. As I said, these women should really, break free from their cycle of, stereotypes and social taboos, community, some sort of, obstacles are there in the community. But we have seen that over time, they are slowly coming up. And then, they will also ask for whatever, opportunities they would be, they'll be looking for. And their demands are already, taken care of. And we also see that over time, we have seen that in local, bodies, panchayati raj institutions, and also we have nagarpalikas and these municipal councils. In all this, we have seen that, there is some sort of initiative, some sort of effort where government is taking, the step for reserving seats and then space for women, tribal women as well as, tribal women also. Therefore, I would like to conclude saying that it is high time that we look forward. I didn't go into the breakups. We have communities like Tripuris, Chakmas, Mogs, Jamatias, Halams, and so on. These are some of the, tribal communities we have, and most of these communities have their own social structures and cultural, practices, and these are some of the areas where we see that women are really coming forward to show off. So it's good that we at least, in post-colonial India, tribal women are coming up, and Tripura would be one example. Tripura is one example because, Tripura has literacy rate is now very high, and tribal women literacy rate is also going up. And in the professional field, we have seen women are coming up in medical science, engineering, and also other professional disciplines. So with this, I think, I don't know how long I've spoken, I feel like, interacting with the participants. This would be, your floor now. I would like to request you enrich me. You might be more, I mean, I can see that a lot of women participants are here, and my intervention, I don't know how much I could really make you, understand the situation in Tripura, particularly the situation of the tribal women. And I offer the floor to you now. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, sir. I would like to
Deepa,
request.
I
Yes,
made a
yes, sir.
very, the brief, presentation, and it's good that, if I keeps, talking, that, and, the participants are not benefiting. And
Yes,
I think I can give the floor to them also. They can
yes,
ask me questions, and in return, I will try to answer.
yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Now, may I request Kunjalata Brahma Pathwari Madam to initiate the interaction session.
Thank you, sir. So, I mean, rather than me reading out the question, if you can just see the chat box, sir, there is a question for you.
Okay. Can you please read out where is the box?
So in the chat box, the question is, I'll read it out, sir. This is from Daisy Rani Talukdar, who's asking, sir,
Okay.
can you please give an idea on the land rights of women in Tripura?
Okay, this is a very crucial question. Land rights, is a big issue. Just the other day, in our Chakma community, there was some problem. I mean, a girl who married a non-Chakma, and then, she was living somewhere else, leaving the state. And after coming back, she was claiming, some properties from her, father. But, the Chakma customary practices, say that once you go out of the community, you have no right and demand, some properties from your parents. And this shows that, Chakmas have their own, customary rules, and anybody goes beyond this rule will not be having land. This is in violation of Indian Constitution, of course. The girl, she has gone to the court, and court has, and in fact, she was outcast from the society. She was outcast from the society, and she was not allowed even to interact with her own people there in village, and also in the family. And this is actually, a problem which has been continuing for long in our society. Likewise, in other tribal societies, Tripuri societies are also the same almost. And then we have other communities, Mock community, their customary rules are also like that in relation to land right of women, and in relation to property right of women. And so, there are some social, social obstacles to land right of tribal women in Tripura. Particularly, I can give you the example of the Chakma community, since I'm from Chakma community itself.
Sir, there is, I have a question if I can ask you, sir, directly.
Sure.
So with respect to what the sixth schedule basically speaks about in terms of, guaranteeing rights, peace and development to the tribal communities, when you talk in terms of, what is being done by, what the sixth schedule as per what the constitution speaks of seeks to bring about, but there's nothing much that has been spoken or done in terms of, giving rights to women. Now, the sixth schedule says that the customary laws are there. They are there to protect and, help the people. But then customary laws to a certain extent in most of these sixth schedule areas are also very regressive. So, sir,
Yeah.
what is your take on this? Just your opinion or whatever.
Surely, you say the problem with sixth schedule is that whatever clauses we have for women rights or whatever you call it, it comes in collectivity. I mean, they don't disaggregate it. I mean, it doesn't come in a breakup. Say this can be applied for women. Therefore, when we go to universal framework, I mean, sixth schedule is almost like universal framework. It is not only for the tribal people of Tripura, it is for other tribal people in Northeast India or wherever it is in India. So I can see that, I mean, they should separate some clauses from the constitutional, this sixth schedule, and then only it would be, clarified how much the societies, communities are doing towards, the women. And in fact, as you said, it is quite true. I mean, I call it the universal frameworks are very difficult to implement in many tribal societies. Therefore, we don't see the expected, outcome of the sixth schedule. It is there, but then we also see some other problems are coming up in between. One problem is that, sixth schedule has given, it is a framework of empowerment, but then, in between we have seen that it has become a mini power structure, which is actually very much, it was not in the very philosophy idea of the sixth schedule, because now most of the tribal groups in Northeast India, I will say only in Tripura, wherever there is district council system, they have made it a mini power system, and they are now struggling, fighting for, this is a mini power struggle there among themselves. So let me call it intra power conflict between, among themselves. So this is what is happening. I'm not very much, appreciative towards the sixth schedule. It has to, change. I mean, with time, and also with lot of, environmental changes, and then, all these changes need to be, reflected in the, whatever sections we have in the sixth schedule towards the empowerment of tribal people in general, and tribal women in particular. There should be some kind of amendments to be, done as early as possible.
I believe, sir, the present narrative is also looking into a lot of, trying to dilute the very structure of the entire autonomy of the sixth schedule. I mean,
yes.
There are lots of other forces also that are into work. So that is very much there.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Any more questions from my fellow participants, please?
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I am Samir Pegu.
Yeah.
Sir, how many active political participation tribal women in Tripura?
Can you repeat your question?
How many active political participation tribal women in Tripura, sir?
See, I didn't actually collect this, data. It is very difficult also because we have 19 different tribal, communities there. And when we look at the district council, I mean, when we see who are the participants there, who are actually representing in the decision-making body of the district council, we say, as I said, we tribal societies, tribal, communities here, they live in patriarchy, system. And then we also see the same reflection, the patriarchal, dominance in the power struggle. We see it is the man who actually tries to take over. And then, as you are trying to know the percentage of tribal women's participation, I mean, very few. I mean, we can see some voices of women, some voices of, powerful women leaders, but then it is not in large scale. I can surely tell you that it is not in large scale, and majority of the tribal women, they don't know how to really make themselves available in the political processes of these bodies.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, sir. Hello.
Yeah, Dhruvajyoti, yes.
Sir? Yes. I'm Dhruvajumalakar, sir, from Pubbongsar College, Kamrup, Assam.
Okay.
So, sir,
Yeah.
as Professor Barbara has said, disappearing culture, her concept as disappearing culture, and we are all the northeastern India suffering from these issues, specifically ethnic communities. We are disappearing in many ways, maybe culturally, maybe hegemonically, maybe structurally, in every way. So how do you feel your community is disappearing in hegemonical structure of women?
No,
Do
actually,
you feel your
I
community?
mean, your question is very interesting, and it is not only in relation to one particular tribal community. As you said, it is happening to all the tribal groups. Major tribal groups in Northeast India.
Yes.
But modernization. I mean, no one can really stop modernization because we have an inertia. I mean, sort of a desire to catch up with the modernization. And when I was in Shillong, one minister was talking to me, and he was saying that Khasi people are by nature they're fashionable. What does it mean? That there is an inner desire that from our souls, that we accept modernization, and this modernization is eating up all the microcultures. I mean, consider tribal culture is microculture, but this microculture in a broad culture, or this dominant culture, as you also mentioned about hegemonic dependency, is absolutely there. I mean, no one can really deny. But there is also xenophobia. There is also fear of losing your own identity, own culture, own way of life. That is also there. Therefore, we see that this has given rise to insurgency. This has given rise to right to self-determination movement across most of the states in Northeast India. So therefore, it is a fear of getting overcome by the dominant culture, or you can say that modernization. Modernization is everywhere. I mean, don't think that it is not affecting the majority groups. They're also actually affecting. It is a sort of wave that really takes eats up all the microcultures. And so we are in this process, and there is also another issue, that as soon as you are having modern education system changes your mind, changes your choices, and changes your psychological status. So these are some of the factors that I would like to tell you. These are some of the factors why many indigenous cultures are disappearing. And this is not only your concern, but also it is the concern of the ILO, International Labour Organization. They have come up with a lot of suggestions that how to protect, how to actually bring a protective system for the tribal communities.
So,
Sir,
sir,
there's another.
my another query is that there are always two women society in a city life. Some are ethnic women society, women construction, and other is mainstream women construction, as usually we see. So what is your narrative, sir? Contemporary narrative in your place, in your city life, in your tribal people? So what is the narratives between the mainstream women construction and the ethnic structure of the women?
Yes, yes.
What is your
I mean, you
narratives?
see, I have already mentioned, there's a sense of, xenophobia, fear of getting extinct. And that fear, in fact, is, it itself is the, shield. I mean, shield means, the protective system. And so it is also very much, clear that if you are not organized, if you are not, some narratives also say that you have to emerge in, in terms of organizations. So we have, we have women organizations, we have tribal students, women organization, tribal youth women organization, and then we also see the majority groups, they also have. And in fact, through organization, if we can really protect ourselves, I mean, we have to see whether this is strategy, as I was talking about strategies to overcome all this. This is one of the strategy that, most tribal communities, particularly when I look at the Boro community. I mean, Boros are much more advanced in terms of their women empowerment. I mean, I've met some women leaders, women, human rights activists, and I find they're well learned. I mean, they're the first, tribal women groups coming forward. I don't know if I could satisfy you. I was actually not understanding also properly, I mean, what you wanted to say. You can ask another question, I mean, a similar question, so that I can make it, clear.
Sir, there's a question from Deepa Borua. Sir, she asked that, do you think the Chakma women are given equal rights in education? Do they get equal rights in education?
Absolutely. I think they get, because, this facilities to women doesn't come in compartmental, packages. It comes in policies, I mean, common policies. So when there is common policy, I have seen in Tripura, the free education system, okay, then scholarships, then, all these strategies are there. So therefore, they are coming up, I mean, coming forward to availing all these opportunities provided by the government. And surely, I should say, they are coming. I mean, education is absolutely important. I've seen many, tribal women doctors, tribal women engineers, even tribal women pilots I have seen, who are, getting trained in the US, and many, technicians. These are some of the, developments reflected in my state. This is due to education, nothing else.
Sir, I think, Madam, yes. Madam Chaliha has a question for you, sir. She hasn't written anything in the chat box, but she wants to ask a question.
Okay,
Ma'am,
sure.
please.
Thank you so much, sir. Your presentation was really comprehensive and very informative. Sir, in regard to if is civil society organizations there in Tripura, and if this is there, then what is the role of the civil society organizations in Tripura in regard to rendering gender equality or inclusive governance, as you have mentioned? Because you have in the discussion there are discussions on land rights of women. So what is the role of the civil society? I wanted to know.
See, civil society, first of all, let me tell you, I mean, civil society is not well introduced. I mean, what is civil society? It is not well known to the, tribal communities. It is only in recent times that we have seen some civil society groups. I mean, under some, of course, leadership is there. So we have seen the Burma community. I mean, which is the major group from within Tripuri community. We have the Burmas, and the Burmas they constitute the majority in population among the tribal groups. So therefore, we have seen from there some human rights organizations have come up, and then these human rights groups are also demanding right to economic self-determination, right to this land self-determination. I was explaining how this sustainable development program, which has been offered by the international agencies, these are coming into the knowledge of the tribal groups. And then civil society is very much strong nowadays. Anything happens, of course, the civil society groups talk about women rights. Any problem, like we have a Women Rights Commission there, State Women Rights Commission, and that they approach to the Human Rights Commission. If community practices cannot really help, they seek help from this Women Rights Commission. And also, if Women Rights Commission cannot really do, they also approach to the courts and so on. So this is one, good development in recent times. It is not very, it's only in recent times we can see this.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, Himadri Bharali puts in a question as to, sir, what script is used in the Chakma language?
We have our own script. Actually, this, if you ask me, this is, some Arakan. We have similarity with Arakanese, and it is curvy. Say switching a caste. It is actually our way. We have to make it O. So we give some curves on the top of the letter, and then only we write this way. Okay, in other languages we have what? We make it to say we have vowels. Okay, without vowels we cannot just write a word or something. So in our scripts we have to make A into O. Okay, giving a curve on the top of the alphabet. So we have our own scriptures, and Chakmas are the one single group who has their script, and these scripts, not developed. I cannot write in my own script, but there are experts who are actually practicing. They can do. We have literatures, and in recent times we have discovered more than 3,000 manuscripts. Chakma manuscripts written in say this animal skin, some leaves, and so on.
Sir, Maria Rashmi Eka wants to ask a question to you. Madam, please proceed.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, I have a question that the reason behind lack of accessibility to government entitlements for the Chakma women, is it lack of education or lack of political consciousness?
See, it's both. I should say it's both. Lack of political consciousness is also there. Although we have some women ministers now in Tripura government, but it is both. Lack of as you said, it is both.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, there are no more questions here in the chat box. If anybody is interested in asking a question, you can please proceed. If any of my fellow colleagues on this platform would like to ask a question to Professor Chakma, please proceed. There are no more queries, sir.
Okay. I wish
there are no more.
There could have been more.
have a lot of questions, but then I believe if I keep on asking, we will be exceeding a lot of time. It
No, no,
is
I mean,
just an out of the,
let us, begin the discourse. Okay, this is one only, I mean, one occasion, but it can be a bigger, discourse and involving many other, women from different groups, different cultures, and that would be really enriching my understanding also. I'm not a scholar on gender, okay, but nowadays I had a tussle with this Chakma, Rajya Sabha committee for this customary laws and all that, because they have undermined the women rights there, and the struggle is still going on. As a result, it is stalled now. I mean, it has not been codified by the government because of my intervention, because I've seen historically, women in Chakma society, they have been undermined, and then their importance was not recognized. And this is the nature in most tribal societies here.
I personally believe, sir, if codification of the customary laws happens, then it ceases to exist as customary laws.
Exactly. That's why we are trying to have it codified.
But with the present narrative that is going on, you never know what and how things will work out.
Exactly.
I think there should be some more questions. There is a question by Purnima Saha. She asks, what are the challenges of women in the Chakma community?
Well, there are a lot of challenges, okay, a lot of challenges. As I said, we have a lot of social, these practices, Chakmas are defined as a group who love to go for jhum cultivation. I mean, the land use. As I was talking about the land use, the pattern of land use. So therefore, we see that in jhum cultivation, it is the women actually. No one actually bothers about this, but it is the women who actually go for jhum cultivation. Many, occasional, visits they give in the Zoom, but it is the women. And so, some Chakma women, they say that, we have given birth to whatever culture we have. We are the giver of Chakma culture. So that is what I mean. Chakma women, they are now coming up, of course, but also Chakma society is egalitarian. I mean, they respect the rights of men and women, of course. And in this way, we are saying that, of course, as some question was just, asked that about, we are transforming, I mean, we should know the pathways of transformation. I mean, this is actually not known to the tribal people. Particularly Chakmas, you can say one of the most, I mean, non-Chakmas, non-tribals, they say that Chakmas are one of the most advanced groups. But, when I look at it, I don't find it in which we are advanced.
Okay. So with no further questions, sir, I think we would like to wind up the session. This has been a very, very aggressively, everybody has been participating very aggressively.
Oh, that's
and I believe, sir,